Welcome to Ed Fluential Sports, where passion meets precision. As I'm your host, Ed, diving deep into the plays, players, and stories shaping the game. And this is episode 58 of Sports Fanatic Forum. Like I said, we a few days, well, not a few, but a couple of days late. As you usually do. Episodes Tuesdays and Thursdays. This week it was Wednesday, and now Saturday. Wednesday was recorded, and on Saturday, able to go live with it. So jumping straight into it with the Dynamite recap, try to make each of these segments 10 minutes. As far as Dynamite goes, I'm going to just cover the key points. I'm not going to talk about everything that happened during the show. And so, as you see, we'll get to the swerve stuff since that wasn't the beginning. I'm going to stay in order, but I won't cover everything that happened on the show. So, Will Ospreay, he had a match. He ended up winning. But I don't get, and then I talked about this on Black Couch Booking Stream with Black Couch Booking Rage and Reg. I don't get why Will Ospreay is still feuding with the Don Callis family. Like, this should be over with. The focus should just be Will and Kenny. And their first exchange was, they did a great job selling this, but this second exchange here that they had didn't really do it for me. Didn't enjoy this second exchange between them. It felt really weird. Like, it felt like super obvious that they're both faces. Like, it was a bit more of it felt more story based and felt like last week flowed much better than what we saw this past Wednesday with Kenny and Will. Didn't like what they did this week. Like, at least Ospreay got the win, but didn't like their exchange after the match. MJF ended up beating Nick Wayne and Speedball and number one to get the second spot in the Casino Gauntlet. Not really going to talk about the match. I just don't like MJF being in the Casino Gauntlet again. He has to be at All In. He's their biggest star. But him and Andrade should be having a one-on-one feud. MJF, he's been a 3-time world champion. He's had good reigns as champion. But he'll need to be going after the world title again. Him and Andrade should just be a mid-card feud, especially with Andrade being the national champion. And I think Andrade should go over once they finally do have their one-on-one match. They're likely going to save it for All Out. But I feel like All In would have been the best time to do that. And so saving it, I don't really get why. I don't get why they're saving it, but All In was the perfect opportunity for that match to take place, and they're just saving it for some reason, which I get holding off certain matches for like B-tier pay-per-views, but this isn't. But this could be like an upper mid-card feud, one of the best upper mid-card feuds in AEW. So I don't get why they're stalling with that. Well, Andrade is also injured now, which I don't know how bad it is, but he wasn't on TV this episode. The Continental, well, you got the C3 tournament, the Continental Challenge Cup. It's interesting they have 2 Continental Championship challenges now, one in the summer and then the one that's in December towards the end of the year. Sounds really interesting. Feel like could have did this with a different title because now you had a C3 in the summer and then the C2 in the winter. So it's kind of like you make the title feel more important by doing that. But Jay White, David Finlay, they had a good match and they got a story going into it with David Finlay kicking out Jay White, kicking him out the Bullet Club a while back. Now Jay White coming back to get revenge. Even though the story stems from another company, they're still keeping that up. And so you got a good story there. And it's with the Continental Challenges, it's never outside interference. So Jay White got a straight up clean win. And then they just advanced to the next segment. So yeah, Jay White, that was a good win for him. Mercedes attacked Willow. Not too much to think about that. Kind of wish the Tekla should have got the match instead of Willow. Willow was great, but I don't think she needed the title now. Felt like Tekla versus Mercedes, even though it's heel versus heel, and I don't like heel versus heel or face versus face. Felt like Tekla versus Mercedes, she could have justified and it could have made a little bit of sense. But Willow's not. But Willow has that spot now. Shout out to her first ever Triple Crown Women's Champion in AEW. So that is a huge accomplishment. Had Kevin Knight taking on Jericho in a TNT Championship match. In a match where I didn't know why the title was on the line. I honestly forgot what happened on the Collision previous to this and the Dynamite the last week. But Kevin Knight, Chris Jericho had a match for the TNT title. It was a solid match, but it was just one spot that was really wonky. It was when Jericho put in the walls of Jericho in the middle of the ring. He did it in the wrong spot. So he had to let go, walk towards the ropes, and then Don Callis hit him with a screwdriver. but he was supposed to be in that spot originally because he literally got up and had to walk towards Don Callis. That was a really wonky spot, but aside from that, it was a very solid match. But it was announced that Kevin Knight and Darby, that's going to be the match at All In. False count. Well, it was already announced, but they added a stipulation, which was false count anywhere. So that makes sense. It'll probably be some interference. You know, it's going to be some weapons used with Darby at Darby, and he usually has pretty big matches or special matches at All In. So it's no surprise here, and it makes sense. It's perfect for his character, and so I'm not mad at that at all. Like I said, the match was already made. Um, Mick Foley, he announced a fatal four-way between Maya World, Chris Statlander, Persephone, and Hikaru Shida for the TBS title on next week's Dynamite. That could have been a big match to save for All In, but AEW, one thing that makes them great is that they do big matches on TV. They don't always save matches. Like they're saving Andrade and MJF, which I don't like. With Andrade being injured, it makes more sense now, but they're not saving a big four-way like this. Like they've had chemistry, they've fought. These women have been in the TBS title scene the last couple of months. Obviously, Maya World's the current champion. I hope she retains. Chris Statlander's had it twice already. She's not going to win it. Persephone, that could be a cool moment, but it's not worth Maya World having a short run. And then Hikaru Shida's the former champion, so she don't need it back right at this moment. Especially getting it back in a four-way, that'd be kind of weak. So you do got four. You have all these women are championship caliber women that can wrestle. They can, well, actually, Chris Statlander to give you a good promo. I like what Maya World has been doing in her run in AEW. So you're getting a really good four-way with people that bring different things to the table, but Maya World should retain, but I am looking forward to that. And then Maya World she teamed up with Thunder Rosa to defeat Persephone and Hikaru Shida. So Chris Statlander is likely going to take the pin since Hikaru Shida and Persephone end up losing their tag match. And then they could blame the loss on each other. Maya World ended up getting the win. And then Statlander won a match. But it was basically a squash match, so it didn't really matter. Hangman and Brodito came out to the ring to celebrate them being the new Trios champions. And then Swerve came out there. It was Swerve that interrupted first. And then he was like, y'all share something in common. And notice that I put all y'all down, which is true. He has beat Brody King, Bandito, and Hangman. And then he wants a shot at the Trios titles, and he's going to be bringing some people with him to get that done. Then the demand came out there because it was like they want their rematch. They're not concerned about Swerve. So it seems like at All In, it's going to be like some type of Trios three-way match or something like that. Or like a ladder match would be super dope, even though I hate mid-match ladder matches. But if it's just like a normal 3 versus 3, like that could be really cool. It's going to be the New Day because it's already been announced they're going to be on the Jericho cruise. So we know it's going to be them. But Swerve, him and Hangman got history. They always have good segments with each other. No matter who is the heel or face, they're never both the same thing. Well, a rare time they wear both faces, but usually one of them is heel, one of them is face. And well, both of them face now because Ricochet came out there and the man, they the heel group. So you got two face groups, so it's either going to be Brodito and Hangman retaining or Swerve and the New Day winning. Like I said, it's already been predicted. It's been spoiled that they come into AEW, but I would be surprised if it wasn't them teaming up with Swerve at All In to help them take the Trios titles from Brodito and Hangman. But the demand, they're going to be getting a rematch too, which I hate champions getting rematches and triple threats. It's really stupid, but it is what it is. And then you had the main event, which was John Moxley and Jack Perry, and another one of the C3 matches. Then on Collision tonight, there's 3 matches in the C3. So that's going to be really interesting to see who advances to get those last 3 spots out of the 8. But Jack Perry, John Moxley, they put on a good match. Moxley ended up getting the win. Obviously, no interference. Just a good match. Not amazing, not special, nothing like that, but just overall a good match. And then John Moxley showed respect to Jack Perry at the end, which was a cool moment. Good show of respect. And I give that an 8 out of 10. Swerve's return was great. There was a couple of things I didn't like, but it wasn't nothing too crazy. Last week's episode was better. When I checked my notes to see what rating I gave it, I think I gave last week either 8.5 or 9. this week was a bit worse than last week, but it don't mean that it was terrible because it was still a really solid episode. Now moving on to what this is about, and shout out to Black Couch Booking. He had gave out a challenge to wrestling content creators. Y'all know I do more than just wrestling, so I am going. But Baseball Appreciation Day, he was basically in his real short, whatever he was saying. He was just giving he made a video just giving appreciation to certain wrestlers, and I'm gonna do that next week more than likely, either in a short or a video. Don't know if I'm gonna do it on the pod. Just depends. But but I was already thinking about doing this. I just want to shout out some of my favorite baseball players, some of my favorite players in the MLB. And like I said, I'll probably do wrestlers next week. But these is my top 7 favorite MLB players currently. So it's nobody all the time. Because also I don't know a lot about baseball historically because I haven't been watching super long. And I guess you could consider since 20 I started watching heavily around 2020, so I've been watching heavily this decade. But I was first introduced to it when the Astros won the World Series around 2017, 2018. So I kind of watched on and off from that point until the 2020s, and that's when I got more invested into it. Excuse me. But it is 2 baseball jerseys that I own, and y'all have seen me wear both of them. So both of those players will be at the top of the list for sure. But and number one is Julio Rodriguez, center fielder. Not a Mariners fan, but when it was like a couple of years ago. I just turned on the Mariners game, and then I forgot who they were playing. But I just remember Julio Rodriguez hitting the home run. And I think he only had 1 home run that game, but he had might have had 2 or 3 hits. But he was just having a solid game, and I was like, oh yeah, I really like this guy. Like I don't, because usually with that point, I was used to seeing like low scoring baseball games, not a lot of excitement. But when I was watching Julio Rodriguez for the Mariners, it was like this is one of the most exciting games I've watched. Like I really wish I remember who they were playing, but I was like, okay, this is really exciting. Because I became a Cardinals fan because my dad is a Cardinals fan, so I just grew up watching them a lot. So when I was like, and I didn't switch teams, but I was like, Julio Rodriguez, he's one of my guys forever now, and I definitely want to get a jersey. So I did end up getting Julio Rodriguez jersey. So yeah, he a great player. This season has been rough for him and the Mariners in general. But last season was rooting for them heavily with the Cardinals not making the playoffs. I was like, since they're not in it, the Mariners are the team I'm rooting for. Since that's where Julio Rodriguez is, and I still root for them. Only time I won't root for them is when they're playing the Cardinals in the regular season, or they were to meet in the World Series. I would be all the way for the Cardinals. But if that doesn't happen, which it likely won't, when it comes to like the playoffs and stuff, I do want to see those 2 get to the World Series. Number 2 got Nolan Arenado. We did end up trading him this offseason, which I said we should. I said we should move in a younger direction. But Nolan Arenado is the other jersey that I have. Like I said, I was introduced to baseball with the Astros winning the World Series. But my dad is a Cardinals fan, still is. So since he supported them whenever I would watch baseball, I would just watch the Cardinals games with him. And Nolan Arenado was our best player for a couple of years. And well, for a minute, not just a couple of years, but that's how he ended up becoming one of my favorite players. And I had got the blue Cardinals Nolan Arenado jersey, which is so tough. Y'all seen me wear it before. Y'all will probably see me wear it again at some point. But it's such a cool jersey. Nolan's such a great player. But like I said, in the off season, I was like, we should move on from him, go in a younger direction, because we're just holding him back at this point. And I was glad that he was able to go somewhere else. Even though I need to honestly forget how well the Diamondbacks have been this season. Yeah, the Diamondbacks are having a good season. They're 65-58. They are third in the National League West, but it's just a tough division with the Padres and Dodgers being there as well. They're just a game behind the Padres, but I'm just glad that he's doing well and they're doing well as a team. So I always going to root for Nolan Arenado. Nothing against him. Like I said, I was glad that he moved on because he needed to be competing at this point in his career. Like I want to see, he's one of my favorite players, but I want to see him compete. So I wasn't sad about him leaving and get traded. Now, the next two are also Cardinals players. The other one, number three on the list, right fielder Jordan Walker. It's great seeing black guys dominate in different sports other than basketball and football. A lot of people, when they see black dudes, they just assume that they dominate or they're good or they want to play basketball or football. It's not the case. Black dudes want to do a lot of other stuff, be nurses, be doctors, lawyers, police, etc. And then in Jordan Walker's case of baseball, when it comes to sports, you don't got to be like limited to basketball, this bubble of basketball and football. It's like seeing, and that goes for many black guys in baseball, like seeing them still, not just baseball, but any sport other than basketball and football, because that's what a lot of black men are known for. But it's like Jordan Walker being able to be a black guy that dominates in baseball, like that's inspiring to see, especially seeing him on my favorite team. But that, like I said, that goes for all black baseball, soccer, volleyball, etc. players. Like we need to get out this bubble of just because you're black, you're playing basketball or football. That's stupid. It's like the D1 gymnastics versus D3 basketball. D1 gymnastics, who wouldn't want to see their son succeed at the highest level? It's D1. And then next at number four on my list of favorite players at the moment is J.J. Weatherhoff, our second baseman for the Cardinals. He's been having a wonderful rookie season. Every game I tune into this season, he's just doing his thing. He's just been electric through the ups and downs. Like he never quits, he never gives up. You can just tell he's motivated and inspired. And he's had a great year so far. Hopefully he can win. Well, maybe with the team record, he probably won't get National League Rookie of the Year, but it's all right. He's still having a good season nonetheless. But at number five, the last three are not players that have played for my favorite team. So next one is Mason Miller, which was I was looking for something, but next one is Mason Miller because he's one of the best relief pitchers in the MLB. That's like anytime, and then I had him when it came to athletes of the week. I had him for the athlete of the week for the MLB a couple of weeks ago. He's such a great relief pitcher. Like he does so, it's like effortless when he strikes out batters. It seems so effortless the way that he does it, and he comes in just for one inning per game. That's all he needs to make a crazy impact and just get the game over with, get it done quick. Excuse me. So Mason Miller had to be on the list right there at that fifth spot. Number six got Alejandro Kirk. This one's just kind of funny because I just like the name Alejandro. I don't know. It's just a cool name. And Alejandro Kirk is a good player too. It's not like I just like the name, don't care about him. But no, like Alejandro Kirk, he's a great player. But I just find Alejandro to be a very cool and intriguing name. And so that's why he's one of my favorite players because I love that name. And then seven, I got Freddie Freeman, first baseman from the Dodgers. It's probably, people want to be different. They don't want to give respect to the Dodgers because of what they've been able to do and all the money that they spend. Like I said, when I talked about the Dodgers, it's on the MLB to implement a salary cap. I can't be mad at the Dodgers for making moves. Getting Freddie Freeman was an elite move. But Freddie Freeman, he's a great player, definitely my favorite player on the Dodgers. And the Dodgers have a lot of great players. They have a great team in general. So it's really, like, maybe people expect me to say Shohei Ohtani. That's a super popular pick. And it's nothing against him. And it's not even about being different. But Shohei just isn't one of my favorite players. He's a great player. I just wouldn't put him as one of my favorites. But Freddie Freeman, enjoy watching him whenever I see the Dodgers. Definitely my favorite player on that team. I don't think I have a favorite. I don't have a favorite player on every team, but Freddie Freeman, definitely great. So yeah, these just some of my top. These my top seven, specifically top seven favorite MLB players. Yeah, like I said, Julio Rodriguez made me like Julio Rodriguez, Nolan Arenado, like those two that made me fall in love with the MLB. And then, like I said, you got Jordan Walker representing for the black guys. They get out that basketball, football circle. So that's really dope. And then Weatherhoff having a great rookie season on my team as well. Then Mason Miller, Alejandro Kirk, Freddie Freeman. Just the guys I like for different reasons because they're able to do so many different things. like they're more than just like it's really inspirational for what they're able to do. So that's it for the baseball appreciation day. So now we gonna move to some WNBA, and this is not so appreciative, which is unfortunate, but it's nothing I can do about it. Uh, Hopefully, it's something that they can do about it. But it's the Toronto Tempo. They're currently on a 10-game losing streak, and it's rough. They're currently 10-23 on the season, had a third worst record in the WNBA. Are not mathematically out the playoffs yet, but realistically, they're not going to make it, which is was probably expected. But this 10-game winning streak has been really bad. And what's also unfortunate is that they've had lots of injuries throughout the season as well. Like it hasn't just been like it's not this thing of just they're a really bad team, because that's not the case. They do have some really solid players on this team, and obviously they're not a good team either. When they were healthy, they were winning and losing, so they were around 500. So it wasn't a perfect season. But when their women started going down, that's when it got rough. Kiki Rice, their standout rookie, she's been out for a little minute. She was having a good start to her rookie season. She was averaging like 15 points and 6 assists or something around that. But she ends up getting hurt, and now she is out the lineup. She is not there as consistently. So now somebody else has to take that spot. Somebody else has to fill in, and obviously they can't do what Kiki Rice has been able to do for them. Because, like I said, I said the wrong stat. Somebody was averaging 15 and 6 was not Kiki Rice. I have no. Kiki Rice was averaging 11 points and 4 rebounds and 3 assists. That is my mistake. But she has only played 17 games this season and started in 9 of them. So even like my mistake for saying her stats wrong, but she was giving you 34% from 3 on 2 attempts, and that probably could have got up with a few more attempts. She was shooting well from the line when she got there. She was giving you 11 points. She was closing out possessions at 5'11", for a 5'11" guard, getting 4 rebounds. So she was closing out possessions. So she was giving you some really solid minutes. And then her going down, it's like that's when the season got really tough. Naraya Sabally, another good player for this team, giving you 12 points and 5 rebounds a night, along with a steal per game. Only played in 24 games. Well, not even only. That's actually a decent amount, but it's not every game that played so far. And she was playing 24 minutes a night. She was shooting 52% from the field. Not great. Well, no, she was shooting 39% from 3 on like 2 attempts. So this was the most 3 she was attempting in her career after being with the Liberty for 3 years. Going into this 4th season with Toronto. So, and that's just a couple other injuries. They've had other injuries like Julie Adelman, Brittany Sykes, probably a few other people that I'm forgetting. Who are probably back now, but like Marina Mabry, she was out for a little bit. Isabel Harrison, she had missed some time. Well, Marina Mabry, she might have been, she was out for just a couple of games, not too many, because she's played 31, so she's played a good amount of the games. Because they're 10 and, what did I say, 10 and 23? So I think Marina Mabry only missed 2 games if they are 10 and 23. Yeah, they're 10 and 23, so Marina Mabry only missed a couple of games, so that's pretty good. But they've only had 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 players have played at least 30 games for the Tempo this season. Not great. And then Tony Akee, she's played 29, but she's averaging like 8 minutes a game, so she's very close to 30. So I round it up to 30. So 5 players on this team have played at least 30 games, and only one of them is in the starting lineup. So it's been rough. Like I said, the injuries is what really held them down and really messed up their season. But now that we spent time talking about that, we can talk about this current losing streak that they're on, because it has been pretty bad. And this actually works out perfectly because, like I said, the podcast was late, but their last game was August 12th, which is which is that Wednesday before, which would have been the Wednesday before I would have did my podcast originally. Well, yeah, because you usually do podcast Tuesday, Thursday, so it's right in between that and Ice Cold. It's always Thursday. They don't play again until Tuesday for some reason, so they got a 6-day break. So this works out perfectly for them being on ice cold. But the injuries obviously have had an effect on them because they've been on multiple losing streaks. They were on a 4 game losing streak before beating the Liberty, then went to losing 10 straight. And these losses haven't really been close, and it doesn't really matter what anybody does. Marina Mabry had 36 points, and they end up losing uh, by 12. And Kiki Rice has been back the last couple of games, but it hasn't been like it was. They've given up 100 points in 4 of these games. One, now they're giving up 100 or more points in 5 of these games. So the defense hasn't been great. Just no, I think the Indiana Fever have been the most explosive offense this year. But the Tempo have gave up 100 or more points to 5 different opponents in this 10 game losing streak. 2 of those games was against Atlanta. Atlanta put up 107 and 101 on them. Las Vegas put up 109, and Minnesota put up 100 and 104. And then the least amount of points they gave up was 79 to a Washington team who averages like 78 points a game. So she was not, and it's usually Marina Mabry or uh, uh, Nariah Sabally leading the team in scoring. The last couple of games, Kiki Rice has had 11 assists in the last 2 games. This 6 day break is really good. It's basically a week, but it's really good because you allow some of them women to get healthy and some of them to come back. But at the end of the day, your season is practically over. So it's like, and then you got with my tongue. Then you got the FIBA break coming up at the beginning of September. So it's like a winning streak at this point don't really do anything because you're 10 and 23 have what yeah, you got 11 games left. So what are you in the season 21 and 23? If you spark a winning streak, that's probably not happening. You never know, but even if they spark the winning streak, they won't be in the playoffs. Very unlikely. But yeah, like they're just giving up teams like the Golden State games. Both of those they lost by double digits. They kept up with Minnesota in the first game, but this, like I said, it's clearly just stems from the chemistry of the team not being there since everybody's missed so much time. Which on that has to be some type of medical issue because you shouldn't be out that much. Because it was a point in the season where they were 9-9, then they lose 4 straight, then they get a win. It was that. Yeah, they were 9-9. Then they end up. No, they were 8-9. They get a win to improve to 9-9. They blew out Los Angeles, 125-97. Yeah, now they just went completely cold. So I don't know. Like I said, the injuries have definitely affected them heavily, but still losing this much. Yet the defense hasn't been good either because she shouldn't be giving up half the games. Half the games of the losing streak, you give up 100 points. That's over 500 points. And that's just assuming that everybody scored 100 when I know that they had more than 100. And then you got 11 plus 9, that's 20. Then add that 4, that's 24. Then that 7, that's 30. 24 plus 7, that's 31. So that's 131 points essentially 531 points gave up over 5 games. And then the points total you gave up, I know has to be insane. But the injuries, they definitely suck. That definitely plays a huge factor in it. But can't blame everything on injuries because at the end of the day, they do still have to play. They do still have to get the job done. That's like getting them, like losing streaks, they happen. Losing streaks happen to any great team, any team in general, whether they're great, bad, terrible. Losing streaks happen. Even the 73-9 Warriors, their losing streak didn't happen until the NBA Finals, losing 3 straight games. The Dodgers just lost like 7 in a row not too long ago. Toronto, I think they'll be fine next season with a fully healthy squad. but you cannot have this many reoccurring injuries throughout one season. That is really bad. Let's get into I don't know why I struggle saying that. Let's get into some predictions. There we go. Let's get into some predictions. Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor takes place on the 21st, which is next Friday. So I could have did these next Thursday, but I was like, I'll do it. Just do it now because I don't know what could be coming up next week. So we'll see. But yeah. And then I try to keep up with Ring of Honor here and there. I don't watch every show. Excuse me. Excuse me. I don't watch every Ring of Honor episode that airs on Thursdays, but I try to keep up with it and keep up with what's happening within Ring of Honor. And so we are. So I got the WrestleFeed app pulled up, and I'm looking at the matches at the moment. So I'm trying to see where I want to start. I think I'm gonna start at the bottom because I don't know what the match order actually is. But there's a Ring of Honor 6-man tag team championship match taking place, featuring the Outrunners defending their titles. The Outrunners and Dalton Castle defending their titles versus the Lethal Twist, aka Jay Lethal, Blake Christian, and Lee Johnson. I remember the Outrunners and Dalton Castle defeating Shane Taylor Promotions for the 6-man tag titles, which I really hated. I thought was a terrible decision. I still think it's a terrible decision, but it's whatever. We move on. But they're taking on the Lethal Twist. I think with the Lethal Twist teaming up with the Demand, and both of them are going to be helping each other, working together. So I think the Demand pop up on Ring of Honor. Then they help them win, and then they try to help, and then the Lethal Twist, after they win, they go to AEW, they go to All In London and try to help Ricochet and and the Demand win, or maybe they get took out backstage, so that way it's no conflict between them for not helping or something like that. But I think it's gonna be a favor for a favor thing with all of them teaming up together now, because he can't put both of these groups together and none of them have any gold. And then they have been featuring Lethal Twist on AEW TV more recently. So I think they'll get the win. Then they'll go crazy with the titles, because the Lethal Twist have stayed in the title picture. They were in the world title picture. One of them was at the beginning of the year. And they've just stayed prominent and important in Ring of Honor. So it's time to give all of them belts and all of them holding championships together. And winning the same title, I think, would make it special. And so I think that's what they do. I think it makes the most sense. I don't really know how the Outrunners and Dalton Castle's reign has been going, but I do know that they're loved by fans. And then you obviously had the heels and the Lethal Twist, so you can get some good reactions, like some really good boos with them winning, especially with the Demand helping. I think it's the right route to go. You had a Ring of Honor TV Championship match. Fight Without Honor had Leo Rush defending his title versus Action Andretti. This is going to be really interesting. Former tag partners, if I remember correctly. Now knowing that this match is on here, I do want to see that. Leo Rush, his character is really dope. Me and Ricky the Shadow made a video about the Ring of Honor and all their black champions. So Leo Rush is having a good run. His character work is paid off, and his reward was getting the title. But what's next is actually Andretti get the win. That's Leo Rush retain. I feel like with them being former partners, I think. And then I think Leo Rush, he's done a good job, but he's a character guy, which is a good thing, because characters are really important to have. So he can get another championship at any time. I think you built up Action Andretti. I think you let him get the win versus former tag partner, and you keep it moving. Have Leo Rush go do something else with his character. But the character work from Leo Rush is outstanding. So I had to give him credit for that. Next, we got Deonna Purrazzo defending the Ring of Honor Women's Career Championship versus Steph DeLander. I was interested because I was like, where did Steph DeLander and Mance Warner go? Then I remembered they're in AEW, but they're fighting in Ring of Honor. So this is going to be a good match. So this one I don't really know too much about. I don't really know the story going into this one. because I haven't killed. Because I've seen Deonna Purrazzo's matches, and I know she can wrestle. And then I've seen Steph Delander in TNA, so I know a little bit about her. So this one just gonna be based off of who I want to win. I want Steph Delander to win. I want to see her get the belt, but they can't go wrong either way. I feel like either option makes sense. But Deonna Purrazzo has had some good defenses. I've seen some of her matches this year. Steph Delander, like I said, seen her in TNA. So really, any option can work. But I'm gonna go Steph Delander. Then you got the Ring of Honor Men's Spirit Championship match, which is Lee Moriarty taking on Nigel McGuinness. The Shane Taylor Promotions needs to stay strong. They already lost to the Outrunners in Dalton Castle. And Lee Moriarty losing wouldn't make him weak, but it'll be who he's losing to. It's not that Nigel is a bad wrestler, because he's wrestled before, but Nigel McGuinness is in a commentator role now. So he, like, it can be a competitive match because he's a former wrestler, but at the same time, he's a commentator. He don't need a championship. So it is cool that they're getting commentators who are former wrestlers involved because it makes for a story. But Nigel don't need to win. That's what we don't. Nigel don't need to win. So then you can keep Shane Taylor's promotion looking strong by having Lee Moriarty win clean. Be like, hey, y'all chill. I'm taking on a commentator. He's not a wrestler no more. He's a commentator now. So he'd be like that. He can do that. And then boom, have a good match. Because Nigel McGuinness, he's had good matches in the time he's wrestled, which is great. But he doesn't need to win here. It's gonna be a good match though. The Ring of Honor Women's Championship match. You have Athena, the champion, taking on Hazuki. Hazuki is very solid. I've seen her. She was in the Survival of the Fittest, if I'm not mistaken, for the Women's Ring of Honor Championship, along with Maya World and three others. Now, Athena isn't going to lose. I highly doubt it. But I feel, yeah, she's not going to lose. And it's 6 championship matches. Already have 3 changing hands. Athena's not losing. And plus, I feel like if she was still making a bigger deal, they would have been mentioned more on AEW. But Hazuki, no disrespect to her because she's a good wrestler, but I don't see her getting the win here. But I'll be very surprised, but I wouldn't be mad at it because Athena, she's had the championship long enough. She's even past Roman Reigns' reign. That was like there was 1,316 days. She's past that, so it's like she don't need the title any longer. She could lose it and then go to All In, win the contract for a second time, or I forgot how she got the shot last year or whatever. But she could go to All In, win, then become Women's World Champion at any point in time. She don't need it no more. So I hope she loses, but I'm predicting that she is going to retain. Then for the last match, as of now, because they could add something last minute next week or even on Collision, but I doubt that they will. But it's possible. But you have Bandito defending the Ring of Honor World Championship versus Nick Wayne. Nick Wayne needs this win because is he with Samoa Joe or is that somebody else? No, he's not with Samoa Joe. He was with the Patriarchy and them. I forgot what their name is. But Nick Wayne needs to win because he needs something big. Like, he talks a lot to not have won anything really. So I think he was like a TV champion or something like that a while ago. He needs to win more, but Bandito's not going to lose because he can't lose. Even though they try to separate Ring of Honor and AEW, since they Ring of Honor is still its own thing, but Bandito is going to have momentum going into All In. So it's like he can't lose the Ring of Honor World title. He can because he can play into the story, like Swerve or Ricochet being like, you think y'all got a chance to win and you just lost the Ring of Honor World title. So it can play into the story, but I doubt they have Bandito going into All In with no momentum. He's going to have enough momentum to be like, to go into it. Yeah, he's going to have momentum going into the going into All In, into that match that they're doing. So I think Bandito's going to win, but I do think Nick Wayne needs it more. But for Bandito, it makes sense. But yeah, it just makes sense because you got the match coming up. So it's like, you really have him lose. So it's whatever. But hey, my opinion. But these are my opinions and predictions on Ring of Honor. Like I said, I've kept up with some stuff. I have not kept up with everything, but I know a decent amount to do predictions on it. possibly even a review, but I will be watching review. We'll see what happens with that. But or maybe I'll draft some shorts. That might be easier. But yeah. All right, to impact stat, obviously it's the preseason, so we don't want to overreact. But what the Steelers did yesterday or 2 nights ago was very impressive. So I can't just ignore what they did. Like people talk about, like yeah, preseason. It's whatever. Like guys are trying to get roster spots. That's what they're competing for. It's the same with the NBA, MLB, whatever. When it comes to preseason, guys are competing for roster spots because it's not a guarantee. You never know what can happen. Never know a spot can get taken, stuff like that. So guys are competing. And what the Steelers did in this game is some of the best competition that I've seen in any preseason game. Not versus who they played, but against each other. And this is healthy competition. This is a good thing. Like these guys, they want a starting spot. Well, they're not gonna get a starting spot because Aaron Rodgers is still there. So obviously he's not playing in preseason. But in case Aaron Rodgers does go down, these guys want to, or if he needs, and that's obviously knock on wood, don't want nobody to go down. But this is what a lot of these guys are competing for, those backup spots. Even Jordan Love he just threw a few passes just to make sure he's like warmed up because he threw 5 passes, then he was out the game. He ain't playing there long. But back to what I was saying, like these guys on the Steelers, they want, and on these other teams, they either want either the starting spot, because some people are still competing for starting spots through training camp and preseason. And then some guys have starting spots, and some teams have decided they're starters, but the other guys, they want the second string role because if that player goes down, oh, I'm the first name getting called. So what I like from the Steelers is the healthy competition and how great everybody played. As you see in the caption, they completed 27 out of 33 passes. 3 quarterbacks played for them in this preseason game versus the Packers. And like I said, the Packers don't care about anything they did. The Packers also played terrible. But the Steelers, they played solid. Plus most of these, like Pat Fryermuth, he played probably a couple of snaps. He got 1 target. He got a 2-yard catch. Shout out to him. But obviously, he's not going to play long. Certain guys not going to play long because you want to preserve health, stuff like that. And then you're using, even with the kickers, Chris Boswell, he kicked 1 extra point, then he was done. Had the backup kicker kick. But to the quarterbacks, because that's what's actually important here, Drew Aller, who they drafted, I forget where he comes from, but he was 10 and 13. He had 153 yards, 11.8 yards per throw, 154.8 quarterback rating, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, no fumbles, no turnovers at all. Then, like I said, it's preseason, but this is really impressive to just play that well without making any mistakes, really. He had a few incompletions, but for the most part, he made very minimal mistakes. He looked good out there. He was making the right reads. He had multiple touchdowns, had a great quarterback rating. He played really well. Now let's move on to Mason Rudolph. He was 10 of 11 for 93 yards, 8.5 yards per throw, no touchdowns. He did take 2 sacks, had a 109.9 quarterback rating, but no turnovers. Did a great job taking care of the ball, was able to get it downfield, was able to put them in scoring position multiple times, whether that be field goals or rushing touchdown. And yeah, like he also made really good reads, just 1 incompletion, took a couple of sacks, but didn't have any turnovers, so great ball control. And I forgot to mention that Drew Aller had a rushing touchdown as well. I forgot to mention that he had a rushing touchdown. So Drew Aller, he had 3 total touchdowns, did a great, and but Mason Rudolph was able to put them in position to score as well. Then Will Howard, he threw the least amount of passes, but it was still a decent amount, 7 to 9 completions, 2 attempts, 86 yards, 9.6 yards per throw. Just took 1 sack, had a rating of 106.5, no turnovers, no interceptions, no fumbles. So he did a great job taking care of the ball. And it's like, obviously, you look at it, Drew Aller's stats stood out the most. He had the best quarterback rating. He didn't take any sacks compared to the other two. He also had no interceptions. He had no turnovers, but none of the quarterbacks had turnovers. They combined for 27 and 33 from completions to attempts, just 6 incompletions through 3 quarterbacks. That's 2 incompletions per quarterback. If you want to divide, they had 313 yards through the air. They averaged 10.1 yards per throw. So each throw was a first down essentially. Because even Mason Rudolph getting 8.5, that's putting you in position for a 2nd and 1 or 2nd and 2 at worst. Excuse me. So what they were able to do was truly special. And then they was able to hit multiple targets throughout the night. Uh, Caden Whitgen had 2 catches. Robert Tanyan had 4 catches. Jermaine Bernard 4 catches. Max Hurlman 3 catches. Then go down the list: 2 catches, 2 catches, 2 catches. A bunch of guys 1 catch. Somebody else with 2 catches. So you had three. The Steelers had 3 touchdowns for their 21 points. Then they had what? Trying to. They had 4 touchdowns because they had the 3 passing touchdowns. They had 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns because Drew Aller had one of the rushing touchdowns. So yeah, the only quarter they didn't score in was the first. But this was a really great game for them. It wasn't a good game, but for the Steelers, it was a great game because this is what they needed to do to get the win. Not just to get the win, but to see like it's competition for this second string spot. Who's going to be our second string quarterback behind Aaron Rodgers? If he goes down, or if he needs to take a break, or if he's just tired, who's going to fill in? Will it be Drew Aller? Will it be Mason Rudolph? Will it be Will Howard? Well, now you see that you have no clue, which is a good thing because you want to be in that position to where, it could be really any 3 of these guys. Likely to be Drew Aller based off his performance, since he was the one that scored 3 of their touchdowns. He scored 3 of the team's 4 touchdowns. Also credit to the receivers that he threw to, which was Caden Wicken and Riley Noah. So credit to them too for being able to catch and run it in for a touchdown. So, but then Drew Aller had a rushing touchdown as well. But Mason Rudolph just 1 incompletion. Will Howard, all 3 of them, no turnovers. So, and then throughout the preseason, you don't know what can change. Maybe Rudolph goes off and he has 100+ yards and a touchdown or 2. Like we'll see next week, but this was a great showing for the Steelers and their quarterbacks. And then they got the win too. So like I said, it's preseason, so can't put too much value into that. But hey, they did their thing. And then yeah. Then I'm just looking at some of the other stats right now to see what people did because I really didn't. Because I've been paying attention to preseason a little bit, but not like a lot. And Trey Lance had an interception and 2 sacks and 8 incompletions. That's not great. Okay. He did have 164 yards, but not great. He also had 3 carries. The Chargers ended up winning that game. What did the Buccaneers do? Who even played in this game? K. Klubnik went 5 of 7 for the Jets for 56 yards. He had the least incompletions on his team. That's good. Bailey Zappi had 2 interceptions. Oh my goodness. Jalen Daniels, okay, he had some decent stats for the Buccaneers. Yeah, because obviously the top people not playing. I know the Pats and Colts tied. I've seen the highlights of that. The Titans, the Cam Ward play. Oh, that's not great. Cam Ward, 5 of 12, 57 yards. Oh my, that's terrible. It's preseason. Probably rusty. Oh my goodness. Adrian Martinez, I don't know who he is, but he had a solid showing for the 49ers. He didn't have no touchdowns, but he did have 159 yards on 16 of 30 completions to attempts. The Washington game, Malik Willis, he was just 4 of 5. Cam Miller, 3 of 11. Quinn Ewers, 1 of 8. So Malik Willis played the best, and he barely played. Achane played 7 carries. That's actually a decent amount. Didn't expect Devon Achane to be playing at all. I guess some of them are going to play a little bit, but yeah. And Jared Stidham, much better than what he did in the playoffs. 9-15, 131 yards and a touchdown. Needed that in the playoffs, my man. Bo Nix was down. Could have did that there. What did Tua do in the preseason? Wait, Michael Penix didn't play? I guess they got all the preseason to play them, but that's interesting. It's just a Oh yeah, I had just Jackson Dawson to see Jaden Daniels. He didn't play, which that makes sense. He was injured last year, so it's no point in playing him. Okay, I just wanted to see that and look at some of the other stats since I had a little bit of extra time before I got into athletes of the week. But we can get into that now. From August 6th to August 12th, these are my athletes of the week. I will be doing NFL. NFL preseason will be included. So, but I'm not going to start with the NFL. I'm going to actually start with the WNBA. And Kelsey Mitchell had a great week. Averaged 27.6 points per game, 2.6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and did this on 57, 52, 76 splits, while the Indiana Fever went 2-1. She's been having a great season. People are putting her in the MVP conversation, which I understand. I would still put Caitlin Clark in that conversation because she creates so much gravity on the court. That was the word I was looking for. But her and Kelsey, such a one-two punch. It's amazing to see between those two. I think one of these weeks I did go Caitlin Clark, but for this week I had to go Kelsey Mitchell. Her scoring has been absolutely insane throughout the season in general, but she's been going crazy. Her and Clark are still the top 2 and 3 scorers in the WNBA, averaging 27 over a week, along with playing solid defense. Had to give it to her. For the MLB, I went with Fernando Tatis Jr., 8 runs, 7 hits, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, and a 280 batting average in every game he played that week as he led the Padres to a 6-1 record. The Padres have been hot. They've caught the Diamondbacks. They've caught the Diamondbacks, and they're still trying to catch the Dodgers, which probably won't happen. But they are putting themselves in position to potentially make the playoffs, and it's really exciting. Really looking forward to what they can do. But like that Diamondbacks, Padres, like that battle to see who gets second in that division, it's going to be a tight race because both of them. Because I don't think both can make the playoffs. Potentially they could, but we'll see. But that Fernando Tatis, he's led this team on a great run so far. Obviously can't mention the games after that because this is from the 6th to the 12th of this month. So anything after can't be applied until next week's episode. And I don't like to do people back to back. I like to give it to different people each week. For the NFL, I end up going with Gardner Minshew. I don't think he played last week in the Cardinals Hall of Fame game. He might have, but I don't remember. But this week against the Raiders, he was 14-16, had 101 passing yards and 2 touchdowns as the Cardinals defeated the Raiders 27-14 in their second preseason game. They're now 1-1 in the preseason, which don't really matter. It's preseason. But like I said, I'm going to include it. There's football going on. I'm going to be watching, whether it be highlights, whether it be full games. I'm going to be tuned in. I'm going to give them my perspective on some of the teams and players. Like I said, Cam Ward was not great, but it's all right. It's just preseason. But I do want to recognize the guys who are doing their thing, who are going crazy in the preseason. So, and then, like I said, starting roles, backup roles, this is where they're secured at in the preseason. So you got to make the most of that opportunity because you don't know if you're going to get it again. You don't know what can happen. Now to the wrestling for the dub. Actually, scratch that. We'll get to the wrestling in a second. For gymnastics, I have to go with Hester Rivera. I can't believe I didn't write this down. But a women's U.S. Gymnastics took place not a few days ago on Monday. It was either Monday or it had ended on the 9th. So it's between this week. Then they had it on the 6th and the 9th. It was through the 6th to the 9th. Hester Rivera ended up coming in first place, winning back-to-back titles. And then she's going to be in really good position to qualify for the Olympics in a couple of months. Because then the qualifying for the 2028 Olympics is coming up in a couple of months. So she's in really good position for that. She has some great momentum. So I'm really looking forward to what she's about to do. So, yeah, I was like, it's something I'm missing. Then I just remember Hester Rivera. She's so tough. of now to the wrestling for real this time. For WWE, I went with the Tongans, uh, Tama Tonga defeating Damian Priest and R-Truth and the War Raiders in a triple threat tag match to become the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Good match. They were the right winners, and they're the new tag champions. So they're doing better than the Usos at this point, doing better than a lot of tag teams. But SmackDown, they're slowly starting to figure it out with the tag division. It's going back to what it should have been before the Wyatt Six ended up getting it. And so I like the direction that the tag division is headed in. And then for TNA, I ended up going with Trey Miguel, who made his return on TNA Impact. He teamed with BDE and Rich Swann to take on Order 4. He ended up getting the win. And so shout out to Trey Miguel, did his thing. Then for glad to see him back. He was gone for like 4 months, which it didn't feel like it was longer, but he was gone for 4 months. So that's actually good, really good recovery, being able to come back. So shout out to him and putting on a good match. Then for AEW, ended up going with John Moxley. Talked about his match a little earlier. His match with Jack Perry was a good match. It wasn't like outstanding matches this week. It's like that like blow you out the water. But I thought that was a good match. There was a lot of good matches this week, but it was nothing like super bad. It was nothing super special either. So I just ended up going with Moxley as he defeated Jack Perry in the C3 tournament. Which, like I said, AEW has the C3 in the summer now and the C2 in the winter. But that was entertaining. Good match, good win. Obviously, Moxley was going to win. And you could have him lose because it would make it unpredictable, but I didn't see that happening. But good match. And I hope y'all enjoyed this podcast episode. So please leave a like on the episode, subscribe to the channel, comment your thoughts, opinions, anything, share for others to see. Trying to see if there anything else I need to say. I probably will have a video out later. I might not. But I am doing another live stream tonight with the family. It's me, Sam, and Stu as judges for the great debate of if Tony Khan should step back from booking. And it's Keish on the side of no, wrestling with Keish, defending Tony Khan. And CY's on the side of yes, saying why he should step back from booking. So make sure y'all tune into that debate tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern. 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. PST. So please make sure y'all tune into that. And as far as the pod, make sure y'all watch this. Hopefully y'all watch the replay if y'all didn't see it live. But the podcast is going to come to a conclusion in episodes 59 and 60 will be taking place next week. I'll see y'all later. Peace.